Good evening and welcome. Megan Kerr, would you lead us in the pledge?
Sure, if you could all stand, please. Ready, begin?
Thank you, Megan. We welcome those who are here for purposes of addressing the board at the proper time and in the order of their request. For those who have not already submitted a request, we have provided forms in the back of the room and also have additional copies here in the front at the Assistant Secretary's position. If you wish to speak during the meeting, please fill out a form indicating your name and the agenda item that you wish to address. You may also make a request to give testimony on an item not listed for discussion today. However, full discussion on any items not listed on the agenda will have to be delayed until such time as the item can be publicly posted in advance as a regular agenda item. If you wish to ask questions, please address them to the chair and not to individual members of the board or to the staff. The board has been meeting in closed session regarding matters listed on today's closed session agenda and wishes to report that no reportable actions were taken. Public hearing, there's none. Call for agenda items for separate action. Adoption of the agenda is posted.
Move approval?
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion is approved unanimously. Approval of minutes.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The motion is approved unanimously. Communications, there is none. Public testimony on items listed on the agenda, I have none. Staff report, I have none. Wow, okay. Public testimony on items not listed on the agenda, I have none. Business items, thank God. John, personnel.
Personnel, thank you. I present the following proposed actions prepared by the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resource Services, approved and recommended by the Superintendent. Appointments 98, leaves of absence 4, demotion 1, resignations 5, retirements 3, amendments 2. Certificated personnel, appointments 17, in-service changes 2, leaves of absence 6, and I move approval.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion is approved unanimously. Instruction,
Move approval?
Second.
discussion,
Yes, I'm wondering if Dr. Seti could provide us an overview of what our book adoption and instructional material adoption policy and procedures are here in the district. I know that we're unique in some ways, Pamela, so I think it'd be important for our public and community member to know how methodical we are in our book adoption, instructional material adoption process.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity to explain that. The item before you on the instruction report today represents the second of 4 phases in our adoption process for science materials aligned to the next generation science standards. Last spring, you approved the adoption of about 5 high school elective course materials. We are now looking today at our core middle school materials. The phasing of the adoption is based on the scarcity of materials that have been available to us. I'd like to take you through a chronology of how that process works in Long Beach Unified. The State Department of Education begins with their framework, which was approved for the Next Generation Science Standards in 2016. Because there were very few materials available that were appropriately aligned to Next Generation Science Standards, the CDE was not able to release their list of approved materials until September of 2018. We then began our process for our adoption locally, which is a very rigorous process. Legislation allows us, if we should so choose, to simply choose materials from the state adopted list. We believe that this is a very personal, local decision, and we want our teachers involved. And so the process that we began in October of 2018 was to pull together teacher teams, teachers that teach the middle school courses. They're all volunteers, and they represented all areas of the district. In December of 2018, we released an invitation to all publishers, asking them to submit materials for consideration. That request to submit is a rather lengthy document. We detail all of the requirements and criteria that we have for our instructional materials, including such things, in addition to being standards aligned, as having supports for struggling readers, being available in Spanish for our dual immersion courses, ample teacher support materials. In January of 2019, our teacher teams were fully formed, and they were brought in for training by our science curriculum leader around evidence-based rubrics. We used 3 different rubrics that help teachers evaluate the appropriateness of the instructional materials, looking at alignment to standards, as well as the additional supports that I mentioned. From February to April of 2019, those teacher teams had all of the materials. They spent their time, this is additional time above and beyond their regular duty day, reviewing those materials, using the rubrics to evaluate them, working together both in person, after school, and asynchronously. They were able to eliminate many of the materials sent to them and identified 2 as final materials to be considered in a larger context. In May of 2019, those 2 publishers' materials were put on an open house internally for all of our middle school science teachers and administrators to come and actually do some real hands-on exploration of the materials. A number of our schools released their science teachers, and they spent a half day with our curriculum leader reviewing the materials, very thoughtful and providing a lot of good feedback for us. Of those 2 materials, one, which is the one before you tonight, was identified by the teachers as preferred. We then held in the months of September and October, these past 2 months, a 30-day public hearing at our textbook services. It was published throughout the district for all stakeholders to come and review the materials and provide feedback for us. Both of the finalists were available at that point. And that brings us to tonight, where you have before you the recommendation to adopt the Amplify integrated course model for grades 6, 7, and 8. We hope to have those materials, if you approve them tonight, in the hands of our teachers at the end of January. We will also accompany the receipt of those materials with a 1-day release for all of our teachers for training. The training will be on how to use the resources, but it doesn't start there. It starts with how do you teach, aligned to the standards, and what resources are available to you.
Thank you for the very detailed overview, Pamela. Two questions. Is it safe to say that one of the reasons that we put so much time and energy into reviewing the possible materials is because we might end up with these for 8 or 9 years before the next cycle?
That has been our most recent history, and we do believe that our teachers know best the materials and resources they need to do their work, and that's why we involve them on it in the process.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Juan.
My last question is, and we've talked about this before here at our board meeting, is where are we with regards to online and electronic instructional materials, given that we go through this rigorous textbook audit every year that requires us to have 1-to-1 physical copies of books for students to take home, and that some of these materials online may not be accessible to all students, given that not all households have access to Wi-Fi. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I want to bring that point back, right, that we have a digital divide in our city, and that in many ways this becomes a challenge for households to be able to not just access materials, but to fully engage with the materials that we have online. So can you talk a little bit about some of the challenges that poses for us, Pamela?
That is a conundrum as we transition nationally from the physical textbook, that really heavy book, to some very flexible and innovative materials that are available through an online platform. The Williams legislation has not been updated, has a number of references that don't necessarily coincide with our work today. One of them is that there is to be instructional materials that can be taken home at any time for the student. An online platform materials would require internet access, and so even though we are one-to-one on our devices, we know that the city is not yet fully accessible for internet. And so we still continue, even though we may adopt programs that have a great deal of resources online, we still need to have instructional materials that are physical that the students can take home.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Just follow up, Pam. So our people look at books that are on a state approval list of books that we can consider for adoption.
They look at all of the books that are on the state list as well as other books that are available. Previously, over 12 years ago, we were only allowed to adopt from the state list. There was new legislation that was enacted right around the time that the fiscal crisis set back our textbook adoption cycles. That new legislation allowed for districts to adopt books that were not on the state list with the requirement that they engage in a review process locally. We have always done both. We look at the state list, but we always engage in that rigorous process that I described.
Okay.
And that does put us at I would say, a unique advantage in the sense that we don't have to wait if we don't want to, for the state to release books that, because of our rigorous process and our assurance that they're going to be aligned with the state frameworks, that we have the ability to do that, right?
We do. And interestingly, high school, there is no high school list. There's only a K-8 list from the state.
And just for the board's information, an average K-12 adoption is around $17 to $18 million. So that's why you see that it has to be broken up over a period of time.
What was that amount again, Chris?
The average K-12 adoption for core subjects such as language arts, math, science, and so on is between $17 and $18 million. So that's why you see it broken up.
So last question, we're approving for grades 6 through 8? 6 through
Grades
9?
6, 7, and 8 for their core program. Last June, you approved a 6th grade elective.
Thank you.
Further discussion?
I had just wanted to make a point on item number 2, actually, on the report, and I don't know, Pamela wants to speak to it or the superintendent. So we're approving 25 school plans for student achievement. So for folks who are wondering how sites spend their individual local control funded money, their Title I money, these are individual for each school based on their data, their conversations. So any kinds of interventions that are site-based, specific to their population, would be in here. So if someone wanted to look at that, could you just?
Yes, so twice a year we post the plans for each school because the schools are allowed to make modifications. All the budgets are there, and you'll be seeing this item in the next couple board meetings because as the schools finish all the required meetings and sign-offs, they'll be bringing those to the board. So, but those are always posted. We've been doing that for years.
Okay, great, thank you.
Follow up to that, Mr. Superintendent, what training and or capacity building do school site councils receive to be able to be effective in this?
Every other year, we do a massive training K-12 with all site council members, and it's online and it's video. I mean, it gets videoed so people can watch sections of it. James Suarez and folks from his department are available and meet with the schools on a regular basis and do individual trainings, as well as anytime a school is missing a compliant piece of information, whether, for example, the minutes of the meeting or whatever, there's a follow-up and support for that.
And we are always open to more parents wanting to be involved in these school
All
site
these
councils.
correct.
right?
So the meetings are public meetings and they're posted. Anybody can go to those meetings. The only people who can vote are the official members of the committee.
Further discussion?
Yes, I see also in the instruction report, we have 2 new members for the CAC, our Community Advisory Committee. And I don't know if those people are here, but maybe we can recognize them?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Not here, okay. And then one last thing, I just want to thank Roomba and the Assistance League. Roomba sponsored the band spectacular at $10,000 and the Assistance League at $1,200. So just want to thank those entities for their sponsorship.
Thank you, Diana. Further discussion?
Actually, one last one, and I forgot to ask you about this one, Pamela, but I had it on my mind. I'm curious as to this new CTE course at Lakewood on animal care.
Yes, that is part of their Odyssey pathway. They have mammal care, and that receives science, and this is a new one that is the second course in that series, and it will be submitted for A to G credit.
So do we have animals at the school and do hands-on stuff with them? or-
Not a lot of hands-on. This is science-based, however. So this is a really good example of how you can take science standards and use industry-flavored approach to teach them.
And what kinds of, I'm just curious, like careers and/or sort of career pathways do courses like this lead to?
Well, the obvious ones like veterinary care,
Yeah.
but also they're just very strong science courses for anyone who's interested in exploring science, the science field.
Interesting. Okay.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? The motion is approved. Finance Report A.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion is approved unanimously. Finance Report B.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I recuse myself from participation in Finance Report B. On the consent calendar, I have a potential financial interest under Government Code 1091 and 87100. My husband works for a subcontractor who's done work for the payees.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion is approved 4-0 with one recusal. Business Department report.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion is approved unanimously. Purchasing and contract report.
Move approval?
Second.
One.
Yes, Mr. President, I'll recuse myself from any participation in purchasing and contracts report because of item number 9. Because of my employment with Cal State Long Beach, I have a potential financial interest under Government Code 1091 and 87100.
Thank you, Juan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion is approved 4-0 with one recusal. Other items, superintendent items.
Yes, Mr. President and members of the board, staff recommends expulsion of the following student, 216. This student would be expelled under Education Codes 48915A2 and 48915C2, and would not be eligible to apply for readmission until after June 11, 2020. However, Student Placement Services has made the recommendation that this student be expelled with a consideration for a suspended expulsion with an opportunity to attend another Long Beach Unified School.
Move approval?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion is approved unanimously. Unfinished business, we have none. New business, Resolution 120219-A, superseding Resolution Number 081717-A, and establishing a resolution in support of applications for eligibility determination, funding applications, high-performance incentive grant funding requests, and authorizations to sign applications and associated documents.
Move approval?
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, just a clarification, this is paperwork, as we welcome David Miranda, our new Executive Director for Facilities, so that he can sign such grant requests.
Thank you for that. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion is approved unanimously. Resolution 120219-B, authorizing Chief Business and Financial Officer to to compensate board member Dr. Juan Benitez for absence at board meeting.
Move approve. Oh, a second, either
Discussion.
way.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I abstain.
The motion's approved 4-0 with one abstention. Thank you, Juan. Okay, we are now at report of board members. We'll start with Ms. Kerr.
I have none, thank you.
Okay. Dr. Benitez?
Yes, very quickly, I apologize to some of the schools that, in my district that I was supposed to visit at the end of last month. As some of you know, I was out sick, got a bad case of the flu. So I'll be following up to schedule some visits, try to squeeze them in before our winter break.
Thank you, Dr. Benitez. Ms. Krieger?
Yes, I just wanted to report briefly on a musical at Prisk called The Turkeys Go on Strike. And it was fabulous, as you can imagine. It was a musical presented by Mrs. Napier's third grade class and Miss Fournier Arredondo's second grade class. Had the, requisite pilgrims, Native Americans, also football players, and a discussion on, or song, I should say, on, does it have to be on a Thursday kind of thing. And it was all so well done. I'm telling you, I can imagine these kids going on either to Renaissance High School or Compass at Millikan because they're great performers. And what it comes down to is we call it Thanksgiving because it's thanks we are giving. And it doesn't matter what day of the week, it doesn't matter if there's football or not, that kind of thing. Anyhow, it was really great fun, and I love any opportunity to be at our schools and watch our children either, perform or anything they do in the classroom, but those performances are really highlights, and it's wonderful to be included. Let's see, also there was an event called Power for Powers with an organization called WISM that was founded by Sergeant, and he's Sergeant now, right? Sergeant Jason Lehman. And he's fabulous. He does work on kind of both ends of the police, I guess confrontation, maybe not quite the right word, but working with police as far as how to treat people that they are in contact with, and then how students or young people can comply with police so that everything goes smoothly. He's done wonderful work in this area, and so there was an event. It was a fundraising event, and also scholarships. There was a Millikan student, Ulysses Martinez, and he wrote an essay about being a Millikan student but traveling from another part of Long Beach that looked different. And he wrote about what it feels like, what it is to live in one part of a city and traveling to another part to go to school. And he really was very, very touching in his observations. And he is encouraged by his mentor, Hector, to become a police officer himself. And I believe he was awarded a $1,000 scholarship, or maybe it was $1,500, but his whole family was there, and that was wonderful. Also, going back to the production at Prisk, there were two staff members who have kids in that production. So shout out to Mark Brown, has a daughter, and Stacy Alexander. So that was really fun to be, at one of our elementary schools to see our staff members supporting the kids and everything. And it emphasizes to me our close-knit community and the family that is the district.
Thank you, Diana. Mr. Meyer?
No report.
No report, but I do want to commend the purchasing department, Ron, and all the years that I've called on the purchasing department for help. You folks have been very supportive and very professional, so I just wanted to make that public. Superintendent's report.
Yeah, I would just like to publicly thank our 16 USC college advisors who spent the 3 days during the Thanksgiving break to support our students applying to college. So they opened their doors to all of our kids, and then those rooms were filled to capacity. So another great part of the district, and those individuals are funded out of our local control accountability plan, and it's a great partnership with SE. We pay for 8 individuals, and they give us 8 for free.
Thank you, Chris. Announcements.
Yes. I announced it last time, and I will do it again. Save the date, December 11th, 2019, for our fabulous Harmony Project Annual Gala. It is a fundraising event, but it is also a wonderful concert. So when we started the program, Ruth was reminding me we started with 75 students, and this year we have 350 students in the Harmony Project. So we graduated from the lobby of the Terrace Theater into the Pacific Ballroom at the arena. So we're moving on up. We'd love to have you join us on the 11th, Wednesday, from 5:30 to 7:30. Bring your friends, bring your checkbooks, and come hear a great program.
I have an announcement, Dr. Williams. So for those of you that want to have a long, fun party night on the 11th, Centro Cha is also having their Nuestra Imagen awards dinner. So we can go from the Harmony Project and make our way over to Centro Cha. That's also December 11th. I believe it starts at 6 p.m., but the program doesn't start until 7. So actually, it would be a good transition to move over from the Harmony Project. And I just want to give a particular shout out to Dr. Seiji Steinmetz, who is receiving, I think it's the Overall Excellence Award. He helped to put together the second Latino economic report for Long Beach, so he's being honored that night amongst many others. Well deserved. So join us afterwards.
Thank you, Dr. Benitez. Any other announcements? Entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.